لأجاريهم قلدت ظاهر ما فيهم، فبدوت شخصا آخر كي أتفاخر، وظننت أنا أني بذلك حزت غنى، فوجدت أني خاسر، فتلك مظاهر.
You start the etching process by selecting one of three etching metals, which are copper, zinc and steel, which all have very different kinds of characteristics. We're starting this etching with a piece of copper, which then has to be polished and then degreased before a wax ground, which is acid resistant, can be applied to the plate. And once that's been done, the plate is then smoked with some lighting tapers, which impart a much darker surface to the wax, which allow you to get much greater contrast when you're making a drawing. There are a range of very, very different types of techniques which you can use to get your image onto the plate, and there have been many technical innovations since the age of Rembrandt. But essentially what we're doing today is a hard ground etching, which is strictly linear. And to make the line drawing, there are a range of different points and scribes which you can use to get different kinds of lines. And I'll be using a very straightforward tool which is called diamond point, because it's a particular hard tip. And it'll ensure that with a very even pressure I can clear all the ground off when I'm making the drawing. After the drawing's been made, it's then immersed in acid, and the longer you leave the plate in the acid, the deeper it bites and the wider the line gets. So the longer you leave it, the darker, the wider line that's printed. So for a very fine line, you might only leave the plate in the acid for a minute, maybe 30 seconds. For very dark, thick lines, you might have the plate immersed in the acid for hours, if necessary, to get the right width. And the plate can be stopped out using an acid-resistant varnish at any time to keep lines at a certain depth. Once the plate's been bitten, the next stage is to proof the plate, is to take the first print and see exactly what you've got before you make any further decisions. If you're very, very lucky and the plate works first time, then you know that's the magic of print. But most often one goes back and removes lines and scrapes lines out, repolishes the plate, or even in my own case quite often abandon the plate at that stage and move on to the next plate.
لأجاريهم قلدت ظاهر ما فيهم، فبدوت شخصا آخر كي أتفاخر، وظننت أنا أني بذلك حزت غنى، فوجدت أني خاسر، فتلك مظاهر. لا 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 نحتاج المال كي نزداد جمالا، جوهرنا هنا في القلب تلالا. لا لا نرضي الناس بما لا نرضاه لنا حالا، ذاك جمالنا يسمو يتعالى.